How's it going, guys? Matt with MotoWorks here. And in the video today, we're going to be detailing the engine bay and the old Honda. Still haven't come up with a name for it yet. I am leaning towards Casper, or I was even thinking Serta. In the event that I do an engine swap in this and maybe turbocharge it, I could name it Serta, because Serta's a mattress, and then this would be the perfect sleeper. But I still don't have any names picked out for this, but those are kind of the two that I'm leaning towards. But yeah, we're going to clean the engine bay in this. It looks absolutely hideous. There are leaves everywhere. It's covered in oil, grit, grime. There's algae growing on it. This thing is disgusting looking. So I've never cleaned an engine bay before. This is the very first time that I will actually clean an engine bay. I've cleaned up an engine bay when the engine was out and I was doing an engine swap in a car, but I've never actually cleaned an engine bay while the engine's still in the car. So there are a few things that I'm going to be cautious of, and I figured while I had the alternator out and the battery out, I removed the battery so I could do this. Figure while I have those things out, it'll be a lot easier and less stuff can go wrong. That's one of the nice things about having a car like this, is I can learn how to do stuff on this. If I don't do it right, I'm not super concerned with it, because it doesn't matter. This is a cheap car that I got, so it's a learning car. You know, before I go and spend some time doing stuff on the Chrysler and messing that car up, I'll just work on something like this. And you know, if I screw this up, I'm not as upset. I'll still be upset because, you know, I'll always know what I did, and it'll jump out and stick out like a sore thumb to me. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn how to detail an engine bay today, and I'll take you guys along with. My buddy Wayne provided me with some awesome cleaner here. It's called New Wave. It's from Ardex. It's for tires, engines, and interiors. He actually gave me quite a bit of cleaner here, at least a good 2 gallons, and a spray bottle. So shout out to Wayne for that. That's awesome. Now I removed the battery because really I don't want any chance of something shorting out electronically. So I removed anything that has power. And if you're going to detail an engine bay, I'd recommend at least disconnecting the battery, and that way there's just no power going to anything, and potentially could cause a short. I also removed the alternator because, again, cars are designed to get wet, but this is going to get, you know, wetter than it would if it was just in, you know, normal driving conditions, because I'm actually going to be physically spraying water in the engine bay. So I just didn't want to get the alternator saturated and cause potential issues. My buddy Scotty is also sponsoring this video today. He provided his pressure washer, so thank you, Wayne and Scott. Couldn't have done this video without you. Now, there is one thing that I have learned over the years of just cleaning cars in general, vacuuming out the inside, or just doing stuff with cars in general. Cars are nasty. They're a lot nastier than, you know, stuff in the house. So what I recommend doing is, if you see a vacuum cleaner on the side of the road, pick it up, see if it works. A lot of times people get rid of vacuum cleaners because they stink. Now, they only stink when they're inside the house. If it works good, and the only problem that you have with it is it stinks when the motor gets hot and whatever's on there is creating some type of an odor, which this one smells like dog. This is actually an old vacuum cleaner of ours, and it really does stink when it warms up. So it doesn't stink outside, and if you're cleaning a car, especially an engine bay like we're going to be doing, I'd much rather, instead of picking the leaves up or blowing them all over the place, I just vacuum all this stuff up with a vacuum cleaner, because it works perfectly fine. It just smells really bad when it works. But again, we're outside and I'm cleaning the engine bay. I really don't care what it smells like. So, you know, that's just a little tip I have. If you see it. Alright, so as we can see, we have all that filth sucked out of there. It's best I could get with the vacuum cleaner. It wasn't the best tool to use, I'll admit that now. Probably would have been more effective to just get some air and blow that out, but I didn't want to have nasty dirt all littering the driveway. But that's clean. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the top down. I'm just going to clean underneath the hood here, and then I assume everything's going to fall down, and then I'll just blast everything out here, and we'll see what it looks like. So here's a good before. See how nasty it is here? It is gross if you look in here. Get a good before of all the junk. And then we are going to get an after when we have it all cleaned up and dried off. Look at the difference. That stuff worked really good, Wayne. Thank you so much for letting me use that. The hood's clean. Under here's nice and clean. Everything came out very clean. Looks really good. That stuff worked well. So the engine and engine bay is now pretty clean. Now, I didn't go super overboard cleaning it. I'm not doing a full-on restoration of this car. The main reason I wanted to clean this engine bay out is in the event that something's leaking, it's a lot easier to tell where stuff's leaking from when you have a nice clean engine. So now we have a nice clean engine, so if there's any oil leaks, coolant leaks, stuff like that, I'll be able to see where it's leaking better than if it was still dirty in here. So yeah, the engine bay came out really nice. I'm really impressed. That looks like a brand new engine bay. Now there are a couple secrets that I've learned from people that detail, and one of those is if you want these wires and hoses and everything to really pop and stand out at you, you can go with some tire foam. So that's what we're going to do. See what that makes it look like in here. If you spray too much on, don't worry. You got the air blaster. We can blast it off with that. But just coat everything with this tire foam, and we'll see how that looks after we do that. I don't know if this works. I've never done this stuff before, but hey, it's worth a shot. I have some laying around, so why not? Just blast everything with it. Who cares if it gets on the engine? You can start it up, it'll burn off. Whatever, it'll be fine. Smells good. Get some there. Get you some. Gonna see how this looks. See if I want to be a professional detailer after this. Probably not, because this took too long in my opinion, but whatever. So everything's coated. Let that stuff dry up and we'll see what it looks like. Ta-da! Nice shiny new engine bay, nice and clean. So I'm going to now put the alternator back on, and I'm gonna reattach the power steering, hook all that stuff back up. Then we're gonna run it and see if the cooling system works. and actually bleeds out and has no leaks, because again, this did have a cooling system problem before. So I just need to make sure that the cooling system bleeds properly and there's no air in the system. And as long as that's the case, then we can go on to cleaning the entire car. But let's get this thing back together quick and see how it goes. Alrighty, so she's all back together over here. Got stuff hooked back up. Battery back in. I did start it. It is charging the battery. The car is running a little rough, so I am going to drive it around a little bit, just forward and backward in the driveway, and see if it clears out. But let's go see what we got. I ended up figuring out what was wrong with it. Scotty actually came over and we both looked at it and found that there was a little bit of PV blaster inside the distributor cap, and it must have been from when I had to remove the old rotor from this distributor. Some of that PV was still in there and it leaked down and got onto the actual contact points. So we cleaned it out, and as you can hear, running really good. Looks good. Still looks new. I made a little bit of a mess here with antifreeze, but it heats up, the fan comes on, so I think the cooling system's working. The needle inside didn't get above half. Now, just like the vacuum cleaner, when it gets hot, it stinks really bad. The same thing's going on with this car inside. So a mouse at some point in the 3 years this thing sat built a nest inside either the blower box where the blower motor is, or peed on the heater core. But it stinks like mouse pee when that fan is on with the heat on. So that's going to be the next thing we tackle, guys, is the interior. As you can see, since I had the pressure washer, I ended up just taking and cleaning off the car. So look how much better it looks after I did that. I mean, it's a world of difference from what it looked like to what it looks like now. And all I did was really just hit it with some soap and water. I actually think this thing might shine up pretty good after I put some wax on it and polish it up. So I'm actually getting kind of excited. The car did pull forward and backward. I drove it up and down the driveway here. And actually, you know what? I'll take you for a quick rip up and down the driveway here. Show you what I mean. Turn this radio off. Radio works amazingly enough, but still no check engine lights. This thing's been running for quite some time. I'm just going to pull forward and backwards for a little drive here. Speedometer works. Tachometer works. Brakes are a little bit weird, but I think there's just rust buildup on them. Goes forward, goes backward. Oh, just hit a chair. Whoopsie. Hopefully that didn't hurt the resale value. But she works. Parked this back in its spot. That's it for today. Got the engine back together. Everything seems to be working. It's still nice and quiet. Heated up till the fans came on. So next step here is to get the bumper back on. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to... It came with two bumpers. One bumper was damaged by the previous owner, and the other bumper was brand new, but it still needs painted. So I don't know if I'm going to paint that bumper and put it on. I just don't know what I'm going to do yet, but we'll save that for the next video. As always, guys, thanks for checking out the videos. We'll see you in the next one.